the meeting to order, the meeting of the Watertown Police Commission for Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. It is now 7 p.m. And I would like to start off with roll call. Starting to my right,
Robert McCarthy.
David Genetti.
Carmine Verno.
Richard Rossi.
Okay. And I know that Mr. Antonetti and Mr. Russ both have stated they would be absent tonight. And in light of their absences, I would like to make Mr. Verno a regular member of the meeting tonight. And the next item on our agenda is public participation. Do we have any members of the public who would like to speak? Please come up to the microphone and state your name and address. Be sure to turn the microphone on.
Al Mickle, 95 Woodvine Avenue. I just applied for my pistol permit, and I want to recommend or honor the woman that was in the records office. She was very pleasant, very knowledgeable, and very helpful. So I wish, I don't know her name, but I wish the chief would thank her for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mickle, and thank you, Chief, for recognizing that employee. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the March 13th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. I was not in attendance at that meeting, so I have to abstain, but I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I second it, Robert McCarthy.
You have to make the motion. I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I make a motion that we accept the minutes for March 13th, 2024 regular meeting.
Commissioner Verno seconds the motion.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? I am, let the record reflect, I am abstaining from that vote. And the motion passes to approve the minutes from March 13, 2024. Chief, is there any correspondence? Item number 5 is correspondence.
No, sir, no correspondence.
Thank you. And under item number 6, new business, we have none. So we'll move to item number 7, old business. Chief, is there an update on the DOT action regarding flash and beacon signs on Woodbury Road just prior to the intersection with Wolf Hill Road?
No further action, Mr. Chairman. Again, I note that they did significant tree trimming there, which has increased the sight line significantly, so that they may not be putting the sign in. Before the next meeting, I'll see if I can get an answer one way or the other, whether they're going to approve a sign or not. But the situation there is a lot better than it was.
Okay, thank you very much for the update on that.
Mr. Chairman, I have 2 questions when we get to it.
Sure.
You want me to do it now?
Go ahead.
Sure. First question, on Woodbury Road and Middlebury Road. A long time ago, we kind of said that the state would put those white traffic lines when they come to that traffic light right across from Taft School where the crosswalk is. It's a right turn on to Middlebury Road, but there's a regular lane, and then there is this open space, and cars that want to turn right onto Middlebury Road sit and wait there. But I thought the state was going to put those white traffic lines, and they have a name for them. I don't know what the name is.
The hash, kind of a hash marking on the shoulder.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and the lines, but they were doing the crosswalks yesterday, painting them as I walked by, and I asked, and they said, no, it wasn't on their list to do. But I know there has been an accident there, at least one, because a truck was in the correct lane, and a car was in that lane, and when the truck light turned green, the truck took a right, and the car went into it. And Officer Abby at the time was right there and came, and she had a hard time getting the person to hit the truck why she was wrong. So maybe someone can address to the state.
So that has been brought up to the state at least twice since I started my employment here in 2019. They have denied that request both times, saying they will not put any paint in the breakdown. They consider it a shoulder or breakdown lane, that it's not part of their plan to do that.
No
They
lines.
did, however, put in a much larger no turn on red sign
Well, they do have
at our
one.
request, but they said they would not put any more paint down. I don't think the state wants more paint to have to maintain, so they have denied our request twice.
Okay.
There's also, when we asked the state to redo all the parking signs downtown on Main Street, we, as part of that, asked them to put in some of those painted hash marks within 10 feet of the crosswalk on each side of the crosswalk, and they denied that request also.
Okay, my second question is panhandling. I know you need an ordinance, and the town council has to approve an ordinance, but has there been a lot of complaints about panhandling in Watertown?
We get very few complaints. I know we do get panhandling sometimes at the end of the Stop and Shop driveway, and occasionally down at the end of the Exit 37 ramp. There's the two locations that come to mind. Very few complaints, though.
Okay, so there's no need for an ordinance to prohibit it, because you can't do much if someone's panhandling, is that my understanding?
Correct. It's not against the law to panhandle, any state statute anyway.
But at this time, there's no necessity to have that sort of an ordinance put in.
No, and if I don't believe so. If the panhandler starts causing any type of disturbance or, is interjecting themselves into traffic and disrupting traffic, we can certainly address that because there are statutes that can apply. But the mere act of standing on the sidewalk with a sign, panhandling and people offering them money, personally, I don't see an issue with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just let the record reflect, I don't know if I said it before, that I am filling in for our chairman, Mr. Antonetti, as he is absent tonight. I'm taking over the duties of the chair. Okay, any other questions for the chief on Woodbury Road, Wolf Hill Road, that matter, before we move on to 7B? Okay, moving on to item 7B on our agenda. That's the discussion pertaining to school zones. We've been discussing this the last couple of meetings. The chief did provide some data on 5 years of traffic data on accidents around our schools and specifically during school hours. And I'll just ask the chief, if you don't mind, providing a brief synopsis of what you're able to find.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. We did a 5-year look back on all accidents that occurred within the immediate vicinity of our 5 public schools. I didn't include our parochial schools in that study, but as far as the high school goes on French Street, speed limit there is 25 miles per hour. Over the past 5 years, we've had 4 minor rear-end crashes at the light. 2 of those were during school hours. At Polk Primary School, we have 2 roads in the immediate vicinity there, which one being a town-owned French Street, which is posted at 25 miles an hour. No crashes on French Street. On Buckingham Street, which is state-owned and a 35-mile-per-hour zone, there were 5 minor crashes in the vicinity of the school, 2 of which were during school hours. Most of those were rear-enders at the traffic light at French Street. Swift Middle School, we have Davis Street and Colonial Street, which border school property there. Both are posted at 25 miles per hour. No crashes on either roadway in the last 5 years. Judson Primary School, we have 2 town-owned roads, Hamilton Avenue and Hamilton Lane. Hamilton Avenue is posted at 30 miles per hour. Hamilton Lane at 25 miles per hour. No crashes over the last 5 years. John Trumbull, there are 2 roadways that border the property of John Trumbull. State-owned Buckingham Street, which is signed at 40 miles per hour in the vicinity. 3 accidents over 5 years, none of which were during school hours. Echo Lake Road is signed at 35 miles per hour, and no crashes there. And it's Echo Lake Road really is divided by a fence and kind of a wooded area between Echo Lake and the property of the school. So it really is hard to even consider Echo Lake being a bordering road to that school. So that's the accident history. I also have the enforcement history. Most of our enforcement with these 5 schools is centered around Judson School in the last number of months because of the Rural Roads grant that we've received from the federal DOT. We've been doing a lot of radar in the vicinity of Judson School, so you'll see more infractions issued in that area just because of that grant. Other than that, we've had very little enforcement action taken around the schools in the last 5 years.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the chief on the data or the enforcement information?
No. No.
Okay, thank you. Chief, do you mind explaining what the signage would say if we do vote on this tonight and it passes? What kind of signage can we expect or is required, I should say?
So if the local traffic authority elects to do so by an affirmative vote, we can establish school zones in the immediate vicinity of the school property. Just prior to the school property, we would have to post a sign that says "School Zone, fines doubled." And at the conclusion of that property, we would post a sign that says "End School Zone." In between those two signs, all traffic moving violation fines would be doubled. So if we did, pull somebody over for, say, a $200 speeding ticket, it would become $400 because it was in that particular zone. There does not need to be flashing lights or anything along that line. That would not include any change in the speed limit in the vicinity there. So if it was posted 30, it still would be 30 with those signs. If the LTA wishes to either reduce, increase, or modify the speed limit in any way, that would have to be an application to the DOT's Office of the State Traffic Administration for approval.
And Chief, it just seems like through the traffic data that kind of supports that the speed zones are what they need to, the speed limits are what they need to be, right?
I would agree.
There's not a lot of speeding going on.
No, very few issues. To put these signs up, I think would simply bring further awareness to drivers in that area to slow down, that it is a school zone, and the penalties would be, much greater. So I certainly have no issue with the approval of such signs. I think it can only bring a safer environment around the schools. As far as the state roads go, it's a different story. By an affirmative vote of the local traffic authority, we can submit an application to the state office of, it's not the traffic administration, this would be to the traffic engineering department that we'd have to apply, who would review and approve any school zones on state roads. To further complicate that, if it involves the reduction of speed during school hours, generally, that has to then go through the State Traffic Administration, which usually requires those flashing beacons that says, when flashing, speed limit 25, fines doubled, something to that effect. And those get costly. They're about $12,000 to $15,000 a pair for installation, either hardwired or solar powered.
So those would only be required for Polk School and John Trumbull School because they're on that state road?
That's correct, and that would be for Buckingham Street.
Okay.
And you certainly could also include the parochial schools if you wish to do so, because those are legitimate, could be legitimate school zones.
So, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but we can vote on tonight for the town to take action on establishing school zones for the following schools: Watertown High School, Swift Middle School, Judson, St. Mary Magdalene School, and St. John School. Did I miss?
St. Mary Magdalene and St. John would involve state roads.
Okay, so those would have to go.
Yep.
All right, so we just Watertown High School, Swift Middle School, and Judson.
That's
And
correct.
we can vote on the town taking action to establish school zones.
Correct.
Outside of that, we would have to pass a separate motion to have the state engineering office consider an application for school zones for Polk School, John Trumbull School, St. Mary Magdalene School, and St. John School. because
That-
they're on state highways.
That would be correct.
Okay. Any further questions for the chief on this matter?
Through the chair, I have one quick question, and you can be brief, but I was asked this, so that's why I'm bringing it up. In the schools, if a car blows by all the parked buses that are there, is that one instance of the violation, or do they get whacked for each bus they pass?
Technically, you could fine for each bus they pass. Usually, we would just fine for a single bus, though.
Right. And the reason why I was asked, because the discussion came up about the school zone and double fines, then the one instance would be doubled.
I would have to check the infraction book on that, whether that's one of the fines that
that's
has a school zone double. There's only specific statutes
Okay.
double.
Okay, I
So
was
I don't have the infraction book with me, so I'm not certain that's one of them or not.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the chief?
Well, yes, these are in effect all the time, the school zone, if like at 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, or, you know, if a car goes through speeding, it's in effect at that time too.
Yes, the LTA may be able to have the school zones established only during certain times of the day. But, that would be all summer as well. It's
Yeah.
hard to ever,
It's
the
hard.
only way to really only make it when school is actually in session would be to have flashing beacons that activate when school is in session. And again, that gets very costly. So I generally see signs put up saying school zone fines doubled, and it's simply a 24/7, 365
Right.
enforcement zone. But, generally speaking, the police only enforce and double the fines when school's in session.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
I would just add that even outside of school hours, you see a lot of children using
Right.
school properties, playgrounds, basketball courts, so on and so
Right.
forth. So it still wouldn't hurt to have that in effect all the time.
Right, even Saturdays and Sundays, they're on there.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Any other questions for the chief? All right, right now I would entertain a motion. Our first motion would be to have the town of Watertown establish school zones for Watertown High School, Swift Middle School, and Judson School.
Through the chair, I make a motion to establish school zones at Watertown High School, Swift Middle School, and Judson Schools.
Okay, a motion has been made. Is there a second?
I will second it, Robert McCarthy.
All right, discussion on this matter? Any further discussion?
No, not I.
Okay, let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, the motion passes. Our second motion on this matter would involve having the chief of police apply to the state engineering office to apply for school zones for the following schools, which are located on state highways: Polk School, John Trumbull School, St. John's School, and St. Mary Magdalene School. Again, I would entertain a motion.
Through the chair, I make a motion to respectfully ask the chief to apply to the state, to the state to establish school zones at Polk, St. John's, St. Mary Magdalene, John Trumbull Schools, since they are under the authority of the State Traffic Engineering Office.
Okay, motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Richard seconded.
Discussion on this matter? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? And the motion passes. Thank you, everyone, for your attention to that very important safety matter. Okay, moving on to item number 8, the chairman's report. The chairman is absent tonight, therefore there is no report. We'll move on to item number 9, the police chief's monthly report. Chief, you have the floor.
Good evening, all. We're here as the weather's starting to get warmer, so nice to have a shortened agenda when the weather's nice outside. You have the statistics for the month of March in front of you, and I'd certainly entertain any questions you have on those. As you can see, the criminal arrest number had a bit of a jump. We received some crime suppression funds from the state. Some of the funds have been utilized to serve warrants that have been accumulating. We've had a difficult time finding some people, so we've been putting a lot of attention into serving warrants that have been in our drawers, particularly prawn warrants, which are failure to appear warrants. We've been serving a lot of those. Those are the numbers you see there. By criminal arrests or higher. Traffic stops are still up there right now because we're still putting officers on the road on grant overtime every day to address distracted driving, seatbelt usage, and speed enforcement. Other than that, I do want to inform the commission that the signage that was approved by your body here on Commercial Street, if you recall, that was the no overnight parking signs and the no truck or trailer parking signs, all got installed last week. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I saw them.
So if, so far, so good, but that does give us now the authority to ticket or remove any vehicles that are parked there overnight and to keep the large truck and trailer parking off of Commercial Street. The signage was also installed on Bunker Hill Road in the area of Barnes, signifying that there's an intersection ahead. The speed limit still has not yet been adjusted on Middlebury Road to the 30 miles an hour that is approved. I'll be touching base with Public Works to see what their plan is with that. I'm thinking they may be waiting till after the reconstruction of the road before they put the signage up. There's a lot of speed limit signs that I think need to be put on a Middlebury Road. They're very sporadic on the road, and there should be additional signs there. So we'll get that addressed with Public Works. Otherwise, our sworn ranks remain fully staffed at 42 right now. Just as was last month, one is in the police academy and will graduate on the 17th of this month. One additional member is on maternity duty, and one member continues to be on injury leave. Hopefully, we'll be getting him back soon. We held our mock traffic stop event at Watertown High School this past Saturday that we had partnered with Southern Connecticut State University, the Waterbury and Naugatuck Police Departments. We had 23 participants that identified on the autism spectrum participate in these mock traffic stops. Again, the purpose of that event was to allow autistic drivers or families with autistic children to feel what a traffic stop is like, to allow them to ask questions, alleviate anxieties and any misunderstandings, and they could, run through these scenarios a couple times if they wish to, just to understand what the officers will be asking and what, just to ease their misconceptions and anxieties for a traffic stop. It was well received. We got a lot of positive feedback. Lastly, as I said, we continue to participate in several traffic-related grants, the Rural Road Speed Enforcement, DUI, crime suppression, click it or ticket, distracted driving. So there's been a lot of federal money being pumped into municipalities and states for the purpose of speed enforcement and other traffic-related enforcement. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief, for your very detailed report. Are there any questions for the chief on his report? No. Questions for the chief? Okay, thank you again, Chief. At this point, we will entertain a motion. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Okay, a motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second, Robert McCarthy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. This meeting is concluded.
Recording stopped.